It is another edition of a Lott with two T's, my last name, of Help with James Lott Jr. I'm James Lott Jr., the Lott in that the whole sentence. And I like to bring you people who are doing some things that you may or may not know about and talk about them. This person, he's online. He's on TikTok, folks. I've seen him. He's doing videos. He has the face for TikTok. He's working it out. He is a senior mortgage advisor for I say how to say
Alianza Mortgage.
Alianza Mortgage, that's right, LC. He's in Florida and in Los Angeles, so he's doing both, California and Florida. We're going to talk to him about who he is, how he got started, what he does, and how he uses social media too to actually forward the message. So help me welcome Vladimir. We'll say his name. Sarser. How you doing, Vlad?
Good. How are you doing, James?
Good. You have a great smile. You have a smile for camera. It's great for camera.
Thank you.
You
Thank
do.
you.
Welcome to the show. First of all, how are you? How are you doing today?
I'm awesome. It's been a great day in Florida. It's just beautiful. A little chilly, but I still got to the pool.
It's Florida, so chilly's what, 60 degrees? It's like that. So it is.
I think so. I think it's about 50 maybe. Yeah.
It's cold. So folks up north are looking at you like you're crazy, of course. So they look at us like we're crazy. They're like, it's cold, it's 55. They're like, it's below 5 in New York. Like, that's different. In Florida and California, we don't have cold weather like that. We don't do that.
I said goodbye to the snow a long time ago.
There you go, right? Exactly.
I left Moscow for that reason. It was just too cold.
Oh, I'm sure. But I heard that Moscow actually has beautiful building architecture. Is that correct?
Yeah, the architecture is phenomenal. It's really pretty. And it has actually gotten, well, there's a lot of historic places in Moscow, and the Red Square and the Kremlin and all the historic places. And then now they just built up the entire new city with skyscrapers of all kinds of size and shapes. It's completely unrecognizable, but it blends in really well. You can see this modern, very contemporary, modern, beautiful buildings, and then you have this really phenomenal old architectural designs. So yeah.
When did you come to America?
I came in early '90s.
Okay.
I came in. It was a time of starvation back in Moscow, and it was everything was a deficit. I mean, even just to get a little bit of meat or eggs or bread or milk, it was very difficult to do, and you had to go to different stores to get different things. So they weren't supermarket; they were like bakery, and then you would go to another shop where you would have to get some milk. And everywhere you go, there would be lines, and these lines would take forever. So as a kid, I used to go and get the food, and I would have to stand in line. So I would basically go in one line and then tell the person in front of me to just hold my spot, and then I would run to the other shop and plug into the other line, knowing it's going to take about an hour. So I would be just kind of switching back and forth just to get some bread and milk.
So you were already kind of crafty at a young age. You're like, I got this down.
Survive.
Yes. That's smart. That's very smart of you. Like you're already working the system. That's very smart.
Yeah.
I like that as a kid. Was there culture shock when you came here in terms of, especially for grocery stores? It was like, we have so much food everywhere, it's not even funny. Like, was it a culture shock when you got here?
It was a culture shock because, first of all, I didn't really speak a whole lot of English. I did study it in school, but it was very, very little surfacey. It was really proper British way of speaking. How do you do? I'm fine, thank you. When I got to New York, I went straight to the Bronx, and there was no.
Yes, the accent there is very different.
No British. There was people like, "What's up? What's up?" I was like, "What are you saying? I can't even understand what they're saying." The other parts with like you said, the abundance of everything was I got used to it pretty quick. It was more of a culture shock, just to try to get adjusted to the language, to people, to just a variety of people.
So was New York the choice to come here for that you were landing in New York?
I landed in New York, yeah, and I landed in New York, and I directly went to the Bronx. And I stayed in the Bronx for about a year. I went to Westchester. I lived in Westchester. Went to J. F. Kennedy High School in the West Side, and so I had to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, take 3 buses from Westchester is on the east side of the Bronx, so there was no direct way to go. So I would have to, in the wintertime, wintertime in New York is yeah,
yes,
painful.
very
It was
painful.
one of the coldest winters too. It was so much snow. It was amazing.
So it was also so actually really so one of your coldest winters was actually in New York. Interesting.
Yeah, there was so much snow that even subways did run, but there was no cars on the street. There was one day that I remember, it was so much snow. Nobody was shoveling the snow, so it was just falling and falling and falling. I got out of the subway. I was going to I think I was going to New York University. I had to apply or something like that, and by the time I got there, and I had to walk through all this snow, and it was closed. And it wasn't unannounced, so I walked all the way down there, and then I walked all the way back. And I swear there was not a single car on the road, not even the yellow cab.
Wow.
It was just completely empty. Yeah, it looked like a ghost town. It looked like a ghost town. It was just a bunch of white snow everywhere.
Yeah, I used to live in New York.
It was like minus 30. Minus 30.
Oh yeah, it gets cold up there. Yeah, I know New York very well. That's where my family's from, so I know it very, very well. It can be we get nor'easter storms, and they can be brutal, very brutal. I have times where I was stuck in the house for like a week. You just couldn't go nowhere. Just like you're in the house. That's it. That. All right, so okay. Trying to do a little timeline for you. So you're in New York, and then where do you go next?
So from New York, I kind of started traveling. At first, I went to, I joined a bunch of hippies. And
okay, I like hippies. I like hippies.
Still moving around. We were catching rides and hitchhiking the rides. So back and forth. I went to Woodstock in it was 1994. It was the 25th anniversary.
Yes, it was.
It was so amazing. There was so many people, and yes. Again, I wasn't like in all the main fields, but I was staying right near the town of Bethel.
Yes,
in this little farm, and there was just a lot of hippies that were staying there. I remember it was so rainy, so it was like August hit, and it was just raining, and they actually had to postpone the concert, but some of the shows were still going on, even though it was constantly raining. And when I returned back to my tent, I had a tent at that time set up on the fields. There was all mud fields everywhere.
Wow, yes.
It was completely flooded.
That's crazy.
Completely flooded. It was just dirt and mud. And you walk around the fields and you see people just covered with mud. Sometimes you don't even see them. They just kind of blend into the whole environment. They set up all kinds of tea kitchens, soup kitchens. But it was great. It was like my first real experience, just being out there, traveling, going to different states, meeting different people, listening to different music. And and then I ended up back in New York for a little while. And after that, I came to California. And from California, I didn't stay in California at first very long, so I kept on traveling. I kept on exploring, went around the Four Corners, stayed in Arizona for a few years. Arizona is amazing, by the way. It was really eye-opening experiences with the Grand Canyon and all the red rock. It's really, really amazing.
I've done those, yes, very much.
Yeah. And then I got back to California, went to San Francisco. Got married in San Francisco, stayed in San Francisco for about 7 years. And then I got divorced, came to LA, stayed in LA for about 7 years, lived in LA, and then I just kind of started moving back and forth between San Francisco and LA, Bay Area to LA, slowly acquiring properties here and there and just having different places to live.
Because Alianza is based in San Francisco, right?
Alianza was created in San Francisco.
Yeah, Bay Area. I think I saw that on there. I went to your website, so see what I think you're in San Francisco. I lived in San Francisco for 16 years, from the 90s to the 2000s, and I moved here. So I was probably there at the same time at one point, probably there at the same time. but I worked in
Why
insurance.
did you end up coming to? So you left San Francisco? Why? Because
Yeah, I hate the weather. I hate the weather. I never got used to it. Everybody's like, James, you were there 16 years. Like, I made a life there, and I left on my own accord, folks. But I did. I like the subway system because it's like a smaller New York. Like, New York, Manhattan. It's like really the San Francisco, like proper. It's kind of like that. I lived in San Francisco proper. I lived in I call the Tender Knob area. It was Knob Hill, Tenderloin area. I did live over there. A nice little apartment or whatever, but it's expensive to live. Number one. I had a good job, but I hate the weather. I like my summers warm. I'm not a big fan of fog. The wind would kill me at 4. You know how it is. It's like you wake up.
I know. Yeah.
Then it gets warmer during the day, and you might have a nice day here and there. But then at 4 o'clock over Twin Peaks, the fog comes in. Then it gets really windy, and then there's cold, and it's like I didn't care for any of that. I mean, 4th of July, never could see fireworks. It was always foggy. I lived my life there, though, Vlad. I lived a life there, and I raised children. I did the whole thing. But I was like, yeah, I very much was like, I'm done. Like I said, I turned 40, and I was like, I'm out. And actually, for me, I had a good deal to come back to LA, so it was a pretty good. But I'm glad I left. I mean, I love San Francisco. I'll always love it for certain reasons. I have friends and family still there, so I'll go visit and everything like that. But yeah, I like the weather palette down here a lot more than in San Francisco Bay Area.
I agree. Los Angeles has awesome weather.
Because you're in San Francisco, and you know this because of mortgage and homes like that, you have to go further out to get the better weather that you would want. Like you have to go to the East Bay or South Bay, or even north, even go like over to Napa and all that to get weather that you would like. Weather that's more sunny.
Yeah. San Francisco's got this microclimate. It's just every time it's really hot outside of San Francisco, it gets really cold in San Francisco. All the clouds just come out and cover the sun, and that's it. And then I live in the Sunset area. And by the way, my family loves it in San Francisco. Whenever I ask them to come out of Florida or LA, they're like, "Oh my God, it's too hot. We're going to go back to San Francisco." I'm like,
okay. That's so funny. Well, I mean, there are people who do like it. There are folks who like that weather. My aunt lives in Pacifica, so it's south of San Francisco, and it's like a little pocket. It's really cute. And it's right by the water, and it gets really foggy, but also gets really sunny out there. So it's like it's a nice little area. It's like
literally 10 minutes from me.
Yeah. Oh, for me. Oh, yeah. You're on that side of I can tell your business, but you're on that side of the Bay Area. Okay, got it. Yes. I know Sunset. I know the Richmond. I was there 16 years. Like I literally ran San Francisco. I was there, and I made a whole life for myself. But after a while, I was like, I hated my job, so I was leaving my job anyway. And but the weather just was like another deterrent. It was like, yeah, let's go back to Los Angeles, where it's mostly 60, 70 degrees here where I'm living. It looks beautiful. Like I said, it looks beautiful outside. I haven't been out there yet, but it's mostly that. And I said, I like my summers to have some warmth to them.
And you can actually swim in the ocean in Los Angeles.
Exactly.
I never went into the water in San Francisco. It was
I did once.
Yeah, but just once. Yeah, because just once you realize it's freezing, you never want to go back again.
Yes. Yeah.
That was.
I'd rather eat at the Cliff House and watch the water. That's I do all the time. Go to dinner at the Cliff House and watch it. So yeah, I'm like, I don't want to go in the water.
Yeah, you can look at it, but you can't touch it.
Basically. Right, exactly. So
it's a tease.
It is a tease, but it's also it's very expensive to live there. So I mean, I had a high paying job, but I knew I didn't want that job anymore, so I wouldn't be able to keep up with what I was paying for. I mean, the rents I was paying back then are what LA is getting to now, 20 years later. But it's like it was expensive then. And I was like, I'll tell you, this is so funny. Like since you were in the mortgage business, so I had a place I lived in before I moved in with some roommates. They had bought a condo in they call it Dolores Heights or whatever, but I think it's not. It's like
Dolores Heights. Okay.
It's like they're between Dolores and Guerrero or whatever, or I think one of those, like 17th or 18th, right over there. So they're over there. So I guess that's Dolores Park was like a few blocks away, so to speak. So I guess that's whatever they call it. I don't know what they call it now. What they call it?
Dolores Park. Yeah.
That's right.
I think it's kind of Valencia corridor crosses over to Dolores.
because they used to live over at DuBose Triangle, which was like a few blocks over. They were over there, like on DuBose and like and Valencia or whatever. But then that ended up they moved over. I was living in Coal Valley at the time, so I love Coal Valley. Love Coal Valley. It's its own little world. Folks don't understand. I don't need Twin Peaks. It's like it's over the hill from Castro. I love it.
It gets the most sun too.
What?
It gets the most sun out of all the areas. Mission, Coal Valley, probably those are the areas that get the most sun.
I lived in Mission too. I lived on 15th and Natoma. Over there. I was in Mission. I was right behind South Van Ness. I had a great little place over there, a little 3-bedroom flat that we lived there. When I moved there in 1993, this is all the folks like this. I never talk about this. I'm like, this is the first time I actually talked about this ever on camera. When I first moved there, my roommate moved there, and it's a 3-bedroom, water closet, bathroom. You know, it was separate. One of those like I always call them shotgun looking houses, whatever. Kitchen in the back, a living room, whatever. We paid $950 with a garage.
Wow.
We had a garage, which is rare. So we had a garage. It was $950 in 1993. We lived there 6 years, and then my roommate and I separated and went our different ways. And then I went and got on Hyde and Post. I call it Tender Knob because the Tenderloin's down there, Knob Hill's like on Bush or whatever. Cute little apartment I had, got it. It was an efficiency, so it had no kitchen.
Oh.
It was one big room.
How did you guys cook?
Well, I'll tell you, it was one big room. Then it had a walk-in closet that basically was the size of a room, and a bathroom. Over in the corner, I had a giant. It's one of my favorite apartments, though. I loved it. Had a giant window. I like plants and stuff. I like all these plants. Right next to it, they had one of those, I call them college dormitory refrigerators, the little short ones. It had a sink and 2 cabinets. So no stove, nothing. So I was young, Vlad. I was young. I was in my 20s, 30s. So I got a hot plate. I had a microwave. I had a hot plate. I had a rice cooker. And I ate out a lot. I couldn't make any food, but I had stuff that a little bit. But I was young. I was eating out a lot, partying and all that stuff. But I lived there 3 years, and when I moved in, Vlad, it was the .com boom had just started, the first .com boom. So like 99, at 98, 99, and it was 1% vacancy in San Francisco. It said it was 1%, and people were like giving gift baskets, and this is when everybody was like giving credit reports. They're just making money off the credit reports, like. Yeah, it's like $40 per person to get a credit thing check.
Oh, yeah.
But you don't get it back, right, Vlad? You don't get it back.
Right.
So it turned out the job I had at the time, which was over in like the Church Market Street area, across the big Safeway. The guy went to high school with my boss. So when I came in to look for an apartment, it literally was 1% vacancy. He was like, "Oh, you work for so-and-so. I know so-and-so." And so I got the apartment because he knew my boss. My boss vouched for me and said, give this kid a place to live. My efficiency when I moved in was $1,000 in 1999.
Wow. What can you get for $1,000 in San Francisco now?
Well, I heard, because I have a friend who still lives that building, 20 years later, or however long that is. He said that apartment is now going for at least $3,000.
Yes.
I said it has no kitchen. Vlad, it has no kitchen. It's going for $3,000 and it has no kitchen.
I literally saw ads for crawl spaces for $900 in San Francisco. Yeah.
So
that's how bad it is.
So when I moved in with my friends, my best friends who were over in Dolores Heights, whatever we call it over there, they had a 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom, 2-story unit with a rooftop. It was a 4-unit condo, so there's 4 units. The 2 bottom ones had bottom stuff, but the 2 top ones had each roof access, their own roofs. But everybody had those. So they got 2 roommates. So it was like 3 roommates. We each had our own bedroom, our own bathroom. We had the living room, dining room, common area. No balconies or anything. We couldn't go on the balcony, but we had to go outside. So anyway, they bought it for in 2000. It was 2000. They bought it for $600,000. which you know is a steal now, but 600,000
Yeah.
plus HOA fees and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, but 600,000. They sold it. It was it 2018, 2019 for $2.5 million.
It's a good time too. 2019 was like the top of the market.
Yeah,
there.
they sold it, and they made money. So each in their own condos or each their own things. They really went. They took it and split the money and bought their own stuff. But I left, came to LA. But that was funny. It's like they made a lot of money off that place.
A lot of money.
And it had a garage again. Had a garage.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's amazing. The price has just grown so fast.
Yes. I can only imagine Florida, because you're in South Florida, or you cover all of Florida.
I cover all of Florida. I'm licensed entirely in the entire state of Florida, but mostly I work in the southeast part of Florida. That's
So
where I'm.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's where I build the network. It's just it's more convenient because I can go see my agents and go see my clients that live in nearby areas. So it's a lot easier to do that than try to go all the way across the state to Tampa or to the west side of Florida. So,
explain to folks what southeast Florida covers, like some city, like major cities they may know.
So major cities would be Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Boca Raton. That's pretty much it on the southeast side. Those are the major cities, and then you got smaller cities like Hollandale Beach. You've got Hollywood. There's Hollywood here too.
There's Hollywood there, yes.
It has a Hollywood sign, and it has a Hollywood casino. It's pretty good actually. And the area is coming up too. It's everything is getting expensive here too. A lot of people from California are moving into Southeast Florida, and so you've got this beautiful coast, and I mean literally beautiful coast. Anything that's east of Highway 1 is priced top dollar. You'd probably be paying like $2,000 per square foot, which is really close to what you'd be paying in San Francisco or Los Angeles. And it's keep coming up. So more people are moving to Florida. Prices are going up. But that's pretty much it. So you got Boca Raton, Fort Lauderdale, and Miami. That's southeast.
Well, I got a question for you. So, because Miami, there's several Miamis. So, like, there's North Miami, and there's Miami, and there's South Beach. So you cover all three of those, right? You cover all that, right?
Pretty much, yeah. I'm not dividing them. Just looking at it from a global perspective, because for me, for real estate agents, it's more important to understand the division between those areas. But as far as mortgage business is concerned, it's not so. There's no really, would you say, borders between those.
So there is. So in terms of that, this is good. I didn't know that. So this is good to know. In terms of that, so in terms of mortgages in those areas, I mean, obviously some are higher than others. Obviously, I'm sure. Obviously, South Beach, Miami's obviously probably is one of the highest, right? Or is it?
South Beach would be, I would say the South Beach and Golden Isles, Ball Harbor. Those areas are extremely expensive.
Yeah,
very expensive. And then you got less expensive areas that are like in Brickell, but still. Again, the prices they vary, but generally, you're right. Anything that's close to the ocean, South Beach and Golden Isles, and like I said, Ball Harbor, those are very expensive. They're right on the ocean, and anything that's going west, a little bit west, is starting to get a little less expensive, basically.
So explain to folks who are watching or listening what you do. We hear mortgage broker, we hear senior advisor, we hear all these things. What exactly does Vladimir do?
So Vladimir talks to people. I love having conversations. So basically, my job is to find out what the person needs to get in the house. So starting from the very beginning, once I get a call, I talk to my client or my customer, and I find out where they at. Trying to figure out if they're ready to basically jump into this process, because you've got a lot of things that really need to happen. They have to be ready. They have to have some money. They have to have really good credibility, and just have to be ready to go into the house knowing how much they're going to be paying mortgage, how much insurance they're going to. By the way, insurance in Florida is much more expensive than in Los Angeles. It's got because there's floods and there's hurricanes, so there's hurricane insurance that can cost you a lot of money. So people need to know that and basically understand whether they can afford it or not. Okay. Because sometimes you can buy a $400,000 house and your mortgage payment is probably going to be like $1,500, but that's not it. There's, you got to put the taxes on top and maybe HOAs and insurance, and then it doubles, literally doubles, because your insurance here could be like $700, $800 a month. It's really expensive for hurricane insurance. And
I was saying, like California with the earthquake insurance, we have certain natural disasters that,
That's right, and when in California is voluntary, so you can or you don't have to get the insurance if you don't want to. If you don't believe the earthquake is coming, then you can wing it.
Yes, but hurricanes you can't. Hurricanes come every season.
That's right, and it's mandatory, so you got to have it. And then there's a lot of other things that they're regulating. How old is your roof? How this roof is built? And then there's things like your roof's got to have a certain standards too. So you can't really have an older roof that's leaking, and the lenders are really particular about it because the tiles fly off the roof when you get the hurricane, and things fly into your house. It's better to have impact windows, for example. Impact windows, if any object flies into your window, it should withstand that. So a lot of people are switching to that, and that really helps to get their insurance down. So that's, on the insurance side. But generally, just to keep it in the same line, I try to help people. I try to advise, and that's what I do. I advise, I consult people to make sure that they understand the process from the beginning to the end. And afterwards, once they're in the house, what are they going to do? What's the purpose for this purchase? Whether it's for their family or is it investment? Because everything has completely different approach from the lender side. So you have all these different products. You have loans that are conventional loans, non-conventional loans. You have hard money loans. You have loans for investors, for investment properties, commercial properties. They're all different products. It's really important to know when you're going into this, what's your purpose? If you're buying an investment property, then you probably don't need a conventional loan. You can go with a loan that basically based on the income that this property produces. So it's underwritten based on the property, on the asset, versus when you're buying a house for yourself, then it's underwritten under your credibility. So they're looking into how much the person is making, how much they have, what their credit score, and so on and so on. Whereas if you're buying an investment property, you really don't need all that. Yeah. So they'll be looking at the house, how much the house is producing, what the condition of the house, is it rented or not, things like that.
So you on your end have to know all different things for both states, for Florida and California, all different laws and rules and regulations.
And regulations,
yes.
And
then on top of that, also, you bring us some good points, be able to ask the actual person, what is your, these are different things that people usually, they buy homes or buy property for, and why are you buying them, and know each of those lanes too, I see.
Yeah, and a lot of times, folks want to do something like, hey, I want to live in the property, but I also want to rent it out. So if you're buying a duplex, a triplex, or a property that has another house in the back, that could be also an opportunity for them. So yeah, really important to understand the client and the customer needs. I don't usually advise against what they do, but I always suggest something. If someone is thinking of buying a property for themselves, I kind of try to dig deeper and see is it really what they want? Is it because they have a family, want to grow the family, or it's just because they want to own something? Because sometimes people are just like, I just want to own a house. Yeah. Okay. You want to own a house, that's great. And that's great because it's an American dream and everything that goes with it. But think about when you own a house, it's not really an asset. It's more of a liability when you own it, especially if you have a mortgage, you're committed to paying the mortgage. So you're not really making money. So it's not your asset, it's more of a liability. But it's something that where you can live, and you can obviously you grow your equity, and you can do a number of different things, and you can sell it, and you can flip it, you can do whatever you want. You can even rent it. So once the individual understands that they can actually produce income from the property, it becomes an asset to them. And that really changes the game. It changes the mentality, it shifts the mentality of the person when they understand how this can work into their advantage, and that they will never have to pay mortgage again. So if they rent it out and rent part of it that pays the mortgage, boom, it's not coming out of their pocket anymore. So now they keep all their income.
Very good. What I want to ask is it a good time to really buy in Florida and California?
I think it's always a good time to buy a property. It's even though the interest rates are high, but there are products now, the lenders are coming out that are allowing people to save money on the interest rate and on their mortgage payments. So there's something that's called temporary buy down, for example. And this is something that lenders allow when a buyer can negotiate with a seller to where the seller will pay for their temporary buy down. So in other words, a buy down is something that can reduce the initial rate. So if somebody is qualified at 6%, in today's market, it's 6-7%, the temporary buy down allows them to reduce the rate for like 3% on the first year, then the 2% on the second year. So they basically save a lot of money on the payments. They're locked in at 6% rate, but they're only paying at 3% rate on the first year, which is considerable savings. And then the next year they pay on the 4%, and then the 5%, and then after that it goes back to 6%. But by that time they should be able to refinance. The economists are saying, that by the end of this year we should see that the interest rates are kind of stabilized and even maybe moving down a little bit. We constantly see them going up and down, but it's still kind of a sideways market. There's really no definite way of saying, hey, the interest rates are really coming down.
Right.
Yet, I got to say that historically, the interest rates it's kind of average. Like usually 3%, 4%, 2% rates are very rare. It's a rare occasion that we ever had in the history of the United States where we're paying 2-3%. It was basically very cheap. So the money was very cheap, but now it's kind of back to normal. It's 5-6%, 7% is kind of a normal thing. But since we've seen that the interest rates could have been 3%, then it's obviously in 1 year we've seen that increase from 3% to 6% to 7%, and it's still going up. That is a bit of shock to a lot of people, and it definitely reflects on their payments. But again, there's different kind of programs. There's also adjustable rate mortgages that you can get into. You can just buy down the rate for the entire mortgage. If you have extra cash, you can just buy down the rate. You can pay for the rate reduction. It's going to cost you a little bit, but if it's going to save you money on the long run, it's right.
Yeah, I like having property. I've always had property, so I own property in other states. I've always owned property. I think it's just always good to have property. I mean, I just think it's a good idea. You said there's so many things you can do with it, possibly. So many possibilities when you own. I was like, owning a car, I don't care about that. That's like, that depreciates over time, and I never look at that as an asset.
Yeah. And another thing, is right now the market is a little softer, so you actually have a better chance of getting into the property. In the Bay Area, and you probably know that you usually have like multiple offers. That's consistently 20, 30 offers. If it's there's a lot of demand. If it's a seller's market, and you've got all these buyers lined up and you remember when the rents were coming up, or like when this first tech boom hit.
I was here.
Lines for people to even get rentals. So
I know.
You literally go to a place you want to rent, and there's a line standing out of the door, and they do the applications.
There was.
And this is how it is in the when you're buying the real estate in San Francisco. So now it's kind of it turned around a little bit, so you can get into the property. If you weren't able to get into the property before, now is a good time to get in because the market is softer. You're not competing against that many people, and in a lot of cases you can actually negotiate the price. If it's a little bit outside of San Francisco area, maybe a little bit inland, you can actually negotiate the listing price down. This is happening. So if you ask me whether it's a good time to buy now, I would say this is a good time to buy now. Yeah, because you're getting into a soft market. The prices are lower. So yeah, if you can, you should.
Okay. Well, the last thing I want to talk about actually is, because we can talk forever, just go forever. The last thing is you've been using social media. I see a lot of folks use social media. So what made you decide to go on social media to actually, because you're giving a lot of tips and tricks and all kinds of stuff. What made you, because you have a nice handsome face, great smile, you're speaking out there. What made you decide to go on social media?
I didn't really want to go on social media at first. I like having conversations with people. I like to call, I like to talk to them. I like to find out what their life is. But I think that this is a sort of a trend. And I'm not saying that I want to be in the trend, but
Your sideways. There you are.
Oh, okay. So basically, the idea is to try to educate people through social media, give them little tips, and sort of become an influencer and a go-to person in that field. And I think the social media really does provide that kind of opportunity. So what I went on doing is I went on YouTube and I started really pumping my Facebook and TikTok and Instagram, and just kind of giving the information and allowing people to understand how to prepare for their purchase, how to become, when they're first-time buyer, there's a lot of things that people don't know. As a matter of fact, I would say that 70% of the population are really not familiar with financing or even know much about their credit. And the more I talk to folks, the more I find out that they really need knowledge. They need more information, and sometimes they don't know where to get it.
I'm looking at your YouTube.
Yeah, so basically, it would be it's really cool to just post the videos and send them to the videos, so then they can understand what's going on. At least it kind of starts the conversation too, because usually they have questions. Hey, okay, so what's my credit? What should I do to get my credit better? Or things like that. They ask me simple questions, and that's just a great way to kind of engage with my customers and educate them and give them just additional knowledge, give them more confidence too. I think that's what social media for me is, just to give the customer more information.
He's on here. That's him, that handsome face. He's on there. I'm looking at him. He has 4,000 subscribers. Yeah, more than I do. This is good. But no, you have what's smart about you is the titles are like a question. Like if someone came to you, what is predatory lending? How to stay away from it? Know this when you're buying a house. Understand your credit score ratings. Like you're literally talking. You're breaking it down for us who actually will ask you questions like this. I'm sure you've heard these questions before. 5 useful tips to keep good credit. Like, this is good. And folks, you're getting some views on here too. People are getting some views, so that's good. So that's okay. That's good. So I'm seeing this whole playlist that's on here, and I follow you on TikTok too. So what has been the response to you on there? I mean, TikTok's a weird place. I mean, I'm a star on there apparently myself, but I don't really know what's going on. How's it been for you?
You know, TikTok is really interesting because I actually get a lot of engagement on TikTok.
Very good.
I get a lot of engagement from younger people. And at first I was like, well, I don't know if this is the right crowd, but it actually turns out that it is the right crowd, because these are the folks that are looking to purchase homes in the future, and they're still young, but it's a good way to start getting them to that point when they want to purchase a house. So as soon as, and I get a lot of engagement, and I try to basically engage with the customers right away. So if I get, and by the way, I built little ads. So when we were talking about buy down, I would do an ad about buy down, and I'll say, hey, hey, there's programs you can save a lot of money. So make sure you take advantage of it. Let me show you how to do it. And so I get a lot of engagement from that. And I usually, some people do short forms, and they like trying to capture the name, the phone number. It's cool. I like that too. But for me, I prefer to talk to people. So I would say, like, give me don't give me a phone number, but leave me a message. Let's talk. Let's engage. Let's call me, and let's just have a conversation. Because for me, that's the best to get to know my customers, through just talking and having conversation. That's what I'm used to. So that's how I use TikTok. I try to navigate these folks to talk to me rather than give me their information through the short form and then contact them later. But some people do that as well. You know what else works in TikTok? Has the algorithm. Sometimes you post a video and it doesn't do anything for you.
Right.
It's like sitting there, it was like, okay, 0 views.
Yes.
Next, 0 views. Next day, 1 view. And you're like, what's going on? This is a great video.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yes.
So I just repost it. I take the old one down and I repost it at a random other time. And I found out that usually if I post like Tuesday mornings, Wednesday mornings, Thursday mornings, I get the better engagement than if I do Sunday night, for example.
Okay.
And that's I know some folks do that too. They repost their video if it doesn't do as well as they think it should do.
Yeah.
So they will take the old one down. They don't repost it by remixing it, but they take it down and then they just repost it in time to see what the engagement, because you don't know the algorithm of those things, and that works. Yeah, I think that TikTok actually is great engagement. It's somewhat even better than YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah, YouTube is great for just getting the information out there and let people watch what you're doing. But it's a little bit harder to harvest the leads and get in touch with the customers, in my opinion, than TikTok or even Instagram and Facebook.
Yeah, it's funny. It's it's just necessary, I think, these days to do what you're doing. Is really smart, because it's these little shorts. You tell people, you answer questions. People are always looking for answers, and then also they get to you and they get to see, oh, I kind of like this guy. Maybe I'll go to him to for financing or whatever. So it's very interesting, because I've been noticing more and more people are going to my world. I call it the TikToks, the shorts, the YouTubes, the Instagram reels. But that stuff does help. I think that's the free press. That's the freebie you get.
Exposure. And that's another thing. Yeah. I also use a publicist. Alberto Ariano.
That's why you're here. That's why you're here. Yes.
He's my guy.
Yes. So that's good. You do a two-prong. Let's say you have the free stuff. This is free. Yeah. This is for everybody. Yeah. It's TikTok's free. So you can go on this. So it's smart of you to post. YouTube's free. So it's good. It's smart to do that. And then you have publicists to help get your name out to more people, like you came to me. Yeah. So that's
of course you can always advertise on those social networks. So if you want to spend a little bit of money, it's actually worth it. I don't spend a whole lot of money. I don't put huge ad campaigns, but I test my ad campaigns with just a couple of $100, and it's working really well, especially on TikTok and Facebook.
Okay, good. So Vladimir, where can they find you if they want to follow you or hire you or talk to you or anything? With this whole point, we're spotlighting you.
They just got to call me. They call me, or they can go to my website, VladSarser.com. But the best way to find me is just give me a call. I love talking to people. Okay. I love finding out what their challenges are and helping them through. that's my way. But definitely social media. Everybody can find me on social media. Just punch in Vlad Sarser on Google, and all my social media contacts will come up.
And I'll put it in the description. So I'll make it easy for you guys at home. It'll be in the description. So you can go ahead and just play and press or copy or whatever you want to do for that. Thank you, Vlad, for being on the show.
Thank you, James. Appreciate you, man.
It was my pleasure. Vlad Sarser for Alianza Mortgage, and he says California and Florida, so 2 different states. So if you're in either one, he's there for you. So either one, two great states to buy property and live in.
If you want to keep it bi-coastal, you can too.
Right? Yeah, you can. But if I choose if I make it rich and I choose to go to get that South Florida home, I will come to you. I will talk to you.
I got to tell you, man, Atlantic Ocean is beautiful, and it's always warm, even in the winter time. I go swimming now. I go swimming. It's
I know. Oh, I miss it. I want to get back there. I miss it. I do know. Yes, I do know. I'm James Lott Jr. AllotofHelp.com is the website. The show is on every streaming service platform, and we're on YouTube on my channel, JLJ Media. Everyone, talk to you next time.